All right, welcome back. It's April the 4th, 62 days before the Undisputed, yes, full Undisputed, meaning the WBC franchise and WBC title at lightweight 135 pounds. I was going to say 65. My bad, a little bit under the weather. T-Street Controversy from Fight View 360 with my colleague Big J, and I am Haney or Kambosos versus Haney out. I'm tired of talking about it, but however, in this last video we're going to do until something, some content or a topic of note comes up, let's say about a week, 2 weeks or so, we're going to give our final thoughts on the fight until then. Right now, Big J has Kambosos winning. I have Devin Haney winning. Both of the fighters had a press conference via satellite. Bob Arum, Lou DiBella, the promoters of this fight. Devin Haney rumored to have a 3-fight deal with Top Rank. George Kambosos, Lou DiBella, the Bella Entertainment fighter, over in Australia. It looks like Duco Events is going to be handling the promotional. Wait a minute, Big J, isn't Jeff Horn was Duco, right?
Yeah, Jeff Horn was DNL Duco Events.
So, wait. Okay, yeah, well, Duco's involved in some type of way. Okay, Duco Events.
Yeah, they are.
Over in Australia, handling, the logistical aspects. Basically, from what we see from the press conference and from what I've learned, is that it was put together in a pretty short period of time, and it looked great. It was professional. So right now, the question that we're going to talk about or raise in this video is if Devin Haney made the right decision. I'm going to say yes. Fans these days can be real fickle and, always have something to say. Your opinions, are polarizing in the sport. Now, Devin Haney, he's been with Matchroom Eddie Hearn for quite some time now. I have his resume pulled up, 27-0 with 15 KOs. He's only 23 years old, but he signed with, from my understanding, I'm not sure, but I believe it was the Antonio Moran fight that he signed with Matchroom Eddie Hearn, and then Abdulayev, Alfredo Santiago, Yuriorkis, Gamboa, Jorge Linares, Jojo Diaz. So that's a 6-fight deal. But my gut is telling me he didn't sign until Abdulayev. Either way, he's been with Eddie Hearn for quite some time. And you can say somewhat of escalating competition with Gamboa, Linares, and Jojo Diaz. But the problem is, in my opinion, he didn't really do what he was supposed to do against Gamboa, Linares, and Jojo Diaz. Those were the fights where he was supposed to really shine and say, okay, I'm going to put everyone on notice. I'm the new guy in town. Gamboa, pretty over the hill. He's fighting Eastside Cryz next week on Spence versus Ugas Undercard against Eastside Cryz. Jorge Linares, well, he's been known, all of his fights that he's lost, he's been stopped or knocked out outside of Devin Haney. And then to make matters worse, Devin Haney got his bell rung, even though he didn't get dropped, got his bell rung. And then Jojo Diaz, even though he won convincingly, it wasn't really anything spectacular. So now he's no longer with Matchroom Eddie Hearn, and he's going to be over on Top Rank. And basically, you might as well say Lou DiBella too, until, God knows how long, maybe 2 years, maybe more, depending. Kambosos, 20-0 with 10 KOs, 28 years old. Last fight, the what was considered in the world of boxing. Let's keep our personal opinions, but overall, in boxing, it was considered an upset for him to beat Teofimo Lopez. Before that, Lee Selby to win the IBF mandatory status to fight Teofimo Lopez. We're not going to get too much into what happened between Lee Selby and Teofimo Lopez between the time that they stepped in the ring. Bunch of bullshit with the purse bid and, Triller, but nonetheless, the fight happened. George Kambosos won convincingly, and now Teofimo is not even saying Kambosos' name in regards to I want to fight him again. He's off at the 140-pound division. And then before that, George Kambosos came on the scene with Mickey Bay. So in that 4 minutes, I gave you the brief history of how we got here. Let me tell you who the champions are, and me and Big J is going to talk. George Kambosos, or the main players are George Kambosos, obviously the franchise, WBA, IBF, WBO, Ring Magazine. I've had issues calling him Undisputed because, Devin Haney's belt is still out there. Devin Haney, the WBC champion, but we will have a full-fledged undisputed champion by June the 5th, hopefully if it doesn't end in a draw. Vasyl Lomachenko is off at war. Gervonta Tank Davis, a disgruntled Mayweather Promotions PBC. Gervonta Tank Davis is taking on Rolly Romero, a fight that he didn't want then, he doesn't want now. Rolly Romero is a PBC Mayweather Promotions fighter, complete in-house fight. That is taking place May the 28th. There's supposed to be a press conference on that Thursday, according to Tank Davis. And then you got Gustavo Lemos, who it's not fully known yet, but he did beat Lee Selby. From my understanding, he's not the IBF mandatory yet. He won an IBF final an eliminator against Lee Selby to be the mandatory. And then you have Ryan Garcia this weekend taking on Emmanuel Tagoe, trying to jolt his name right there into the 135-pound division after taking, 15 or so months off. And the rumors are that him and Tank Davis could possibly be fighting at the end of the year if they both win. So, did Devin Haney make the right decision signing with Top Rank and working in a 2-fight deal with Kambosos, and then the winner would be getting Lomachenko. Now, there's a lot of chatter on the internet and social media, basically, that Haney he shouldn't have went with Bob Arum because, Bob Arum doesn't do black fighters well, and he shouldn't have took, he took less money. They're probably going to rob him in Australia. You know how boxing fans can get. That's what's going around right now. Me personally, he was in a tough spot because his WBC belt pretty much meant nothing. He would have the mandatories, but would never be the mandatory for the big boy belt. Now it's the big boy belt that Kambosos has in the franchise. Big J, do you think he made the right decision?
Oh, absolutely, I do. I absolutely think that he made the right decision because, he could either plot around and play the safe game and, have easy fights and continue to be discredited at every turn, or he can put his big boy pants on, which he done, and said, well, fuck it, I'm going after the big fight, and the only way to do that is take on Kambosos, and he absolutely did the right thing. He was presented an opportunity, and he took it, and personally, who could blame him? I mean, what fighter wouldn't take that opportunity? So, yeah, good on him. I mean, I don't have a problem with him fighting Kambosos. I always said that Kambosos needed to fight. Oh, in my opinion, George needs Haney more than Haney needs George, if that makes sense. Because that way that puts it to bed. George beats Haney. He's absolutely 100% undisputed lightweight champion. No more bullshit, back and forth, this, that, and the other. So that's my opinion.
That's the real selling point to me. And also, here's something interesting. Devin Haney would have probably had to end up fighting Zaire Abdulayev or, depending, maybe Ryan Garcia. It depends. But, at this point, I don't think that Devin Haney could have relied on Ryan Garcia fighting him, for one, with Ryan Garcia constantly pulling out of fights, but also Ryan Garcia getting special privileges from the sanctioning bodies because of his so-called marketing power.
What marketing power?
Yeah, but they say he's got the social media following and everything, but it's pretty much said that fighters would fight Ryan Garcia before they fight Devin Haney because of Ryan Garcia is definitely more marketable than Devin Haney, and Devin Haney's taking this chance and betting on himself, as he's saying, and going what fans would call the other side of the street, the Top Rank. I don't really believe I believe that fighters should go after what they want and not be held up by promoters. Kind of like what Tank Davis is going through right now. Kind of like when Terrence Crawford at 147 pounds, Top Rank couldn't do nothing for him anymore because all the fighters that he wants to fight and to be able to build up his legacy are over on PBC. Sometime it has to happen, even with Tank Davis. He's over there on PBC, but the fighters that he want to fight, look, we have George Kambosos taking on Devin Haney. And that's on regular ESPN here in the States. Over in Australia, it's going to be on pay-per-view. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the video later on. But then you have Tank Davis fighting Rolly Romero here in the States on pay-per-view.
Crazy.
Doesn't make any sense.
Man, well, boxing can be a hideous beast at times, and this just proves it. I mean, PBC dominates 154, but they got no pull at 135. They got nothing at 135. Yeah.
Here you go. Another example.
Example. So, I mean, you can't discredit Haney at all. I mean, he's coming over to a country that I don't believe he's ever set foot in Australia before. So, and that's a bloody long, that's what, a 30-hour plane trip he's got to get here a month before.
Yeah.
He's got to acclimatise. As I said in our last video, the Melbourne weather turns to shit pretty much now. It's going to get cold and miserable until the fight. So, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of obstacles to get over. So, and you got to give him full credit. He took the fight that was the biggest fight he could obtain to give him the legacy that he wants. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, fuck anyone that says that they're auditioning him for taking this fight, because that's exactly what he should have done, and good on him. So, and as I said, George needs Haney more than Haney needs George, in my opinion, because George needs that belt.
It will be full-fledged, undisputed. It won't be a little asterisk next to his name, in the record books and everything later on, like where fans can argue and say, well, Devin Haney was still out there. How people get, as they call here in the States, barbershop conversation. But if he beats Devin Haney, then he is full-fledged, undisputed, and he'll have taken out two fighters who are supposed to be considered special talent in boxing. Something I was talking about in the Erickson Lubin video earlier, where he took out Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney, and then if he goes and fights Tank Davis, after that, or Lomachenko, that's legacy that's right there that goes in the books, win or loss. That's in the books.
Exactly. And as you said, it's it passes the barbershop test. In this country, it's called the pub test.
Okay.
You got the barbershop,
guys around drinking a beer, talking that shit. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it passes this passes the pub test for sure. So, and I mean, as I said, you can't fault anyone for that in this fight. It's going to be the biggest fight in Australia's history, without doubt. I mean, for status. I mean, let's not forget, Manny v. Jeff was a massive fight, and Haney v. George has got to step up to that plate. That's a big plate to fill, because 55,000 people in Brisbane. Manny Pacquiao, no one's going to come close to anything he's ever achieved. So, yeah, but still, for status-wise, it's the biggest fight in Australia's history. There's never been an undisputed fight in Australia, ever. Yeah. So,
well, let's talk about it. You think that Kambosos is going to win. You got to give your reasons.
Speed, power, tenacity. I think he's just a more pressure fighter. He's going to be more tenacious than Devin, because Devin seems... Let's see, look. Devin doesn't seem like to have much power. He's got a chinny chin, as you've said. He's got a chin. Jorge Linares rung his bell. If Jorge Linares... George will drop him, because George will hit a lot harder than Jorge Linares. And Haney has looked rather substandard in his last three performances, which he should, as you said, he should have dominated those performances. He didn't look good in any of them. Maybe the Jojo Diaz fight, but Jojo Diaz was a blown-up super featherweight. So, his level of competition, has not been, he should have destroyed those guys. He just didn't. I mean, Jorge Linares lost every fight by knockout, and Haney, who's supposed to be one of the best lightweights in the world, not only got his bell rung, but didn't knock him out. Doesn't look good for Haney. Doesn't look good at all. So, George would destroy Jorge Linares. We both said that. So, I think Haney's in for a lot of trouble. As I said, ninth round TKO. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. If I'm wrong, fair enough, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I just played the clip of Devin Haney getting rocked by Jorge Linares. Well, but also we do have to bring up Kambosos himself. Only, he's not known as being a knockout artist. He only has 10 KOs. But he does have that. He does come out, with pressure. And, now that he's got that knockdown over and pretty much beat the shit out of Teofimo Lopez, now, you would think that, he will come out obviously like that against Devin Haney and try to set an example down early. Devin Haney is notoriously known to be a slow starter. And in this case, I'm wondering what kind of fight Devin Haney would try to fight, whether he will go out there to try to take it slow and be safe and not to try to, get caught by Kambosos, meaning show him the respect. Or is he going to go out there to try to put on the show because he's going to be in there in front of, at least 50,000, they're saying? And are you confident they can move that number?
The stadium holds 56, but honestly, I'll believe it when I see it because, that's a big stadium. I believe people will turn up, but I'll believe it when I see it because remember, George is not a household name in Australian boxing, and no one knows or cares who Devin Haney is. So this is not Manny Pacquiao. This is George Kambosos, who has done his last 6 fights overseas and has no media attention, not 1/10 of what he deserves. Right, they're jumping on the bandwagon now. Like, well, where were they when he was, doing his, fights and fighting Mickey Bay and MSG and all that sort of stuff. So he's still not a household name. I mean, as I said, they're going to have to promote the absolute daylights out of this fight to get that sort of crowd. They can't just have one press conference and have another thing 2 days before and hope everyone turns up. It's like, no, you're gonna. It's like it's gonna. There's gonna have to be signs and posters and things everywhere. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, but, they got the right people behind them. They got a Top Rank and they got a Duco event. So, and I know here in the States, it's likely going to be a highly viewed fight because they're putting it on primetime here in the States.
Oh, yeah, it'll be highly viewed in the States. But in Australia, whether we're going to get those 50,000 people and how many pay-per-view sales is yet to be seen.
Yeah, you're talking about you wouldn't be surprised if Main Event pay-per-view Australia raises the price on this fight?
I wouldn't be surprised. But the thing is that if Main Event's going to charge you $60 to watch Tim Tszyu fight, the competition he's fighting, and watch Paul Gallen, have an amateur fight with another football player, how much do you think they're going to charge for an actual legit fight? This is a legitimate fight in Australia, and the Australians are champion. Mm-hmm. I mean, normally these things happen over the States, and you pay $30. Like when I think Teofimo was going to fight Georgia, usually it was $30 on Main Event.
I'm on the Main Event page right now. They have Spence versus Ugas next week for $30.
For 30, okay. So that's a pretty significant fight, right? At 147, but there's no Australian involved, so they charge $30. Like, remember when Jason Maloney fought what's old mate's name? Inoue?
Yes.
The Japanese fighter. They only charge $30 for that. But they'll charge Tim Tszyu. They'll charge $60 for Tim Tszyu to fight. And his American debut against mid-Carter? Yeah. I think that's fair. A mid-Carter? So
I don't think they're going to raise the price because for one, you kind of hinted at why they wouldn't, because George Kambosos, even though he's undisputed, and that's going to be the biggest selling point, they're going to say, the first time in Australian history, an undisputed, all the belts on the line, they're going to really, really pump that out there. But at the end of the day, over in Australia, George Kambosos has been pretty much based in the United States, which is why he's in the status that he's at.
Yeah, correct. And he's never appeared on any Main Event card ever that I know of, not even on an
But luckily, they did something smart, this is why a lot of fighters and, promoters, managers, fighters, trainers, coaches, they will all tell you the same thing. Top Rank is very good getting promotion going, or at least making sure, in this case, let's get this press conference over. Let's start getting these, this promotional stuff out, like now. We're 62 days before the fight. As it stands today, the press conference was last week. So they do have time to really start, really building this up.
And they will. If they're smart, they will. Yeah. Because, luckily for them, I've mentioned this before, the AFL and the NRL aren't doing anything those weekends, so that's a free weekend.
Yeah, and then, I'm imagining that they're going to have some type of build-up shoulder content, that's going to be airing on, I'm guessing maybe Fox Sports over there, for Kambosos.
They'll put it on probably Main Event 5, Channel 526, and they'll probably just have his last 4 fights or whatever, because they normally do that, They've done it for Green Mundine number 2, they've done it for Tim. Yeah, so if they've got the rights to that footage, I'll just put it on. They'll just play it on continuous loop for like a week straight.
Yeah, but I'm talking about something where they do, like in the States, it's called shoulder content, where they do like an all access, where it's like a half an hour build up, for the fight.
Top Rank will definitely do it. ESPN will do it. Will Main Event do it? Yeah, they'll do it. But they normally do about half-hour little snippet thingies. Mm-hmm. Main Event has been known to do those sort of things. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, like interviews with Ben Damon, one-on-one with Ben Damon. That sort of stuff.
Okay. So, well, closing thoughts?
Oh, as I said, I can't wait to see this fight. I'm going to be there. It's only up the road for me. I really hope this is the biggest spectacle Australia's ever seen, because, we Australia boxing needs this, because we haven't had anything on this caliber even, in a very, very long time. Pacquiao Horn was 5 years ago, so we need another huge, big fight like this. And as I said, I'm sticking to it. George, within 9 rounds, TKO.
All right. once again, you know, we've pretty much been talking Haney, Kambosos, Teofimo, all these guys for quite some time. So we're going to give it a break for about a week unless something significant happens. Anything Kambosos, Haney, we're going to be working on and getting. We also got some special things in the work. As you can see, we've been doing some cosmetic upgrades and pumping out more content. Also, we want to become your home for your Australian boxing content. So far, you know, we've been doing very good. Thank you for the recent new subscribers and viewers. You know, we can see you guys down below in the comments. Also, let us know in the comments, who do you think is going to win and why? So with that being said, thanks for watching. I'm T Street Controversy at T Street Controversy on Twitter, and old mate Big J here. I'm gonna put his social media, his Twitter is right here on the screen. Old mate Big J on Twitter. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. Thanks for watching.